C2 Wrestling Podcast. We are back, back, backlash. We have predictions. 5 matches announced at the time of this recording. Maybe they had a six, but five has always been kind of the sweet spot for these non-Big Four, Big Five PLEs. We'll give predictions. We'll break down each match, but the first breakdown has to be how Snowden is doing.
Oh, I'm doing. I am hyped for Backlash. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a great little run here for C2. Now we're past that first WrestleMania for us a few weeks ago. We didn't know what to expect, but, we had a great time building a little bit of a fandom here. We like to see it, so we want to continue to grow. I'm just hyped. I just want to talk wrestling. I just want to do this. That's all I've wanted to do. So let's do it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I have mentioned on this pod before how a lot of my ideas on things that we end up doing, or like the very ground level where like I'll be in the middle of an idea and I just send it to you. They come when I run. When I run is when a lot of things, I got plenty of time to kill and may as well, I'm normally thinking about wrestling anyway. And sometimes I think of something and it's like, great, yeah, we should do that. Or I think of something and you take it to the next level, or you go, that's cool, but what about this? And it's like, oh, that's what we got to do. And we collaborate and make all of these ideas. So I bring this up to mention we are doing backlash predictions, as someone is right outside my window. We're doing backlash predictions. Money in the Bank is going to be interesting. Money in the Bank won't be a podcast prediction. Hopefully, a video gets put out for that in some form, but it won't be a
Mhm.
pod. We'll get something up for that. Probably not a Saturday night's main event prediction in between. Which, granted, who knows what that card is even looking like. Uh, but you mentioned WrestleMania. It was a great time. We had a very beginning to C2 wrestling that it felt where it was like, we got all these new intros, we got new headshots, we got these things. But SummerSlam's going to be the bread and butter.
Mhm.
SummerSlam, like, I am pumped for Backlash. I think this actually be
Yep.
a really good show. I hopefully will be able to catch Money in the Bank live, not holding my breath on it, but I'm pumped for Money in the Bank. I am so unbelievably excited for SummerSlam, for us taking our predictions to a whole nother level with SummerSlam, introducing some hardware, putting some things on the line going forward. And then you and I are talking, and it's not just SummerSlam. Every PLE, the ideas that we have going forward with predictions, with being interactive, it's not going to just be us two. We kind of have this nucleus of 5 to 6 people. It's from Mania, the five of us, and then Patty V, who's been on as well.
Mhm.
There's going to be so much good stuff that a show like Backlash that I am excited for in a year from now, that excitement is up a notch with the things that we're going to start doing. That excitement and that interest goes up a level because of the ideas that we have. I'm so excited for it that I just got to drop that little teaser about it because we're close to these predictions that we're about to make being for something.
Yeah. Yeah. It is about to be for something. And it's just crazy. We look back to the beginning of starting C2, and, we had all these kind of ideas. A lot of them have played out even thus far, and we're not even a year in quite yet. So we have plenty of ideas to come, and a lot of them are going to come to fruition. And for us, they're great ideas.
Yeah.
We feel like we have a lot of great things in mind, and we hope you guys feel the same way about it as well. But we just love this. Like, this is just a long time coming. It feels like, we had the old Fab reactions, and that went on for a little while, and then there's some time in between, and now there's C2 wrestling, and it feels like we've been doing it forever. You know?
Yeah, and it also feels like this isn't going anywhere.
No,
We are in it. We're in the thick of it. I mean, at this point, this is podcast number 40, 41 or
I
42.
think I think
I think
41.
it's 41.
Yeah,
I think 42 I'll be in Paris, and then 43 through 45 we have something like that. Uh,
WrestleMania 41, podcast 41.
yeah, exactly.
It will be
I
better.
mean, it's crazy. This is 41 straight weeks of us
Mm,
doing a podcast. We are very close to, before we know it, the full year of podcasting, the
yeah.
full year of C2. And I think about it, and while I was running, because I did think about this, I thought like this is not crazy, but podcast number 100 will be here before we know it. And
Yeah.
it's like we will still be chugging along. I mean, at that point, we'll be nearing year 2 of C2, and that's just the beginning. Like we're not going anywhere.
No.
This is, you know, we have finally purchased the things that we need to purchase. There's always
Mm.
something that, we can make things better with, but there's no leaving C2. We're here for the rest of the time.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. We got nowhere else to be, got no place to go. This is what we love to do, love to talk about. Why would we go anywhere at this point? Again, for the little bit of time we've been doing this, we're building ourselves back up a little bit. And it's not really about that. We just want to talk wrestling again. We were doing this already with a channel, without a channel. Why not put it on YouTube? Why not do something with it? So that's really all it is. But we want to talk shop with everybody. You got to join the live streams, hang out with us. Backlash is going to be a blast. And WrestleMania 41 was our biggest turnout yet. So hopefully, a lot of those faces that were involved there come to Backlash. Hopefully, we get some even more heads popping around. It's been a great time. Going into Backlash, though, I do agree. I think it's going to be a pretty good show. I feel like off the back of WrestleMania 41, before we even get into the Backlash card, Mania 41, there's some highlights, but there's maybe more stinkers than highlights in the overall grand scheme of Mania 41. And parts of the builds were questionable as well. So I feel like we are on like a 12-week span of it kind of being wishy-washy. So then you go into Backlash, and a lot of these matches I think are shaping up well, but there's a lot of discourse over, McAfee being involved, Logan Paul, this, that, whatever. No Cody Rhodes, like what's going on with everything. But I don't know. I think this card is shaping up fine. I think they're going to put on 5 bangers, 5 match card again. Great. I love it. Listen, if they were to add a 6 match, I'm not going to complain. I think 6 is the cap. I wouldn't really be adding more than that. But I just got nothing to complain about before we even get into this card. I feel like there's a lot of complaints going into this Backlash, but I don't know what people are expecting.
Yeah, it's an interesting stretch because we have Backlash, and then what, 2 weeks later is Saturday night's main event,
I believe so. Yep.
and then 3 weeks later is Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Roughly,
Sounds right.
whatever the math is on that, 2 3 weeks, whatnot. It's like it's three essentially big shows in a 5 to 6 week span. The Backlash build itself, I mentioned Cena Orton, like that is a match that it doesn't really need build. Like
Mm-hmm.
you just announce it and you just do it. Now they've obviously built it a bit. We'll have the go home show tomorrow. You know, is it really going to enhance the match that much? No. Like it's the match is made, the match is built. I think there is an aspect of it though. Obviously, the Raw after Mania was great. The SmackDown after Mania was solid too.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at it, there's only like 2 to 3 weeks of television before this show that it's like build wise, unless you're doing Mania rematches, which I don't want, it is sometimes tough to get some fresh matchups or fresh stories in that short of a time frame. So like
Mm-hmm.
the build itself, I'm not too bent out of shape about because pretty much all the matches make perfect
Sense.
sense to me. Like there is some sort of connection in all of them. They don't
Mm-hmm.
really feel thrown together in this 2 3 week span. The only one that you could argue, I guess, is McAfee Gunther, but the counter argument to that is it's been damn near 2 years of McAfee yeeting in front of Gunther. They've had their, where Gunther would stare him down and Pat would stop, and Gunther not liking what commentary's, saying. Like, is it the greatest build ever? No, but it still makes sense. Like, it's
Yeah.
still passable. So I don't think the build actually has been that bad. I just again go to it's so quick after Mania that if it's not like Mania rematches, which I don't want, that's where it's going to cause that argument anyway, where people question the build in such short time frame.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not super opposed to Mania rematches, but it would very much depend on the rematch we're kind of getting. Penta versus Dom is not a Mania rematch, but it is a rematch, and they did have a match together at WrestleMania, but it's not a direct rematch of the WrestleMania match itself.
They
You look at
faced
the,
what, the Raw after Mania?
I believe so, yes. And then you look at the U.S. title, which is four of those guys kind of put together now. It's not direct Drew versus Priest, LA versus Fatu again, so it mixes it up a little bit, adds a couple more names to that US title mix. In that sense, it's okay. I can't even say I'd be mad at any other potential rematches, but there's certain ones like we definitely obviously didn't need Jay versus Gunther again. Like that did not have to happen. So there's a reason why it didn't. I think the card overall is shaping up well. We just had our Raw review this past week, and we talk about, say, Gunther and McAfee, where, McAfee went on and 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 on Monday. And Gunther snapped back at him pretty well. The initial attack on Michael Cole and McAfee, we watched live and we loved. There's a review over that, I believe, as well. So Gunther gets written off for a week. McAfee gets his little thing. They come back and they go back and forth. I thought that build's been great so far. I understand it's not Gunther challenging for another championship. The guy's been, as McAfee said, a champion 80% of his time. I've been saying it. I think we're getting like a leveled up version of Gunther here. It on paper shouldn't take a lot to beat Pat McAfee by any superstar. All these competitors should be able to beat Pat McAfee in theory of him not really being a wrestler. So I need Gunther to go out there and destroy him. And I think we're going to kind of get that. McAfee might get some offense in, but Gunther's the GOAT. He's coming out on top of that match. I guess we'll get right into that match predictions since I feel like we're heavy on that one right now. But
Well,
I
you
got
you
it.
just started
Yeah, I
going
just pretty
away
much
with
said it. Yeah, I
it.
guess I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Gunther, the GOAT, has to take down McAfee. I might lose my goddamn mind if McAfee were to win that match. I think there's literally like a 0.01% chance McAfee wins, but
Here's the only
there's
way
a
I want
chance.
Pat McAfee to win. I would only be I would only accept Pat wins on technicality, where
Yeah.
Gunther chokes him out so bad, doesn't let go of the choke, and the ref changes it from a Gunther win to a DQ.
DQ, yeah.
We've seen that. Or say like Pat is on the ropes and Gunther is just mauling him and
Chopping
doesn't
him.
stop, and he is damn near a bloody pulp,
Yeah.
and he is not stopping, and the ref counts to five and you know rings the bell. Like that is the only way. I'm not talking an interference. I'm not talking a count out. Like the only way McAfee should win this match is if it is strictly Gunther is damn near about to kill him and the ref has disqualified him. Like that is, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
technicality. That's it. Any
Yeah.
other way, the group chat of me, you, and Triple H, I'm changing the I'm changing the group photo. I'm changing the group name. I'm blowing Triple H up. It's not text, it's voice memo after voice memo. It's I'm pressing keep because I want to listen back to my work. I want to listen back to my rants. It's an ugly day to have an iPhone at that point.
Yeah, it could be pretty bad if it goes any other way. I mean, I don't want this at all, but I'm not ruling out McAfee's boys being involved. They were kind of involved in
Gunther should
that
kill all of them
initial.
too.
He should, yeah, absolutely. They were kind of involved in that initial segment. So it makes me think there might be some ringside stuff. Not that they're going to help McAfee win necessarily. That would be awful if they do. But I can see a guy getting pulled over the barricade and Gunther attacking him. I don't know. Who knows? But Gunther versus McAfee. I mean, McAfee's had what? 2, 3 matches in his WWE career.
He's had a couple
Nothing. Yeah, he
because
had
he had the
Adam
NXT
Cole.
matches.
Yeah, he had Adam
He was in
Cole
War
for sure.
Games.
He was in War Games, and then he had Theory, right? So 3, maybe a
What
fourth somewhere.
he had Theory. He, I guess, technically had Vince.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess. Yeah.
he didn't he face Corbin? Did he face Corbin?
Did he? I don't know. I don't
I know
remember
they had
that.
the story of him and bum ass Corbin. Like I don't
Maybe
know
they
if
did. Yeah, maybe they did. I
I
kind of
can't remember
forget
if they actually ended up facing. And
facing
then
or not.
he's been in a Rumble.
Yeah, he's been in the
Um,
Rumble. Point is, McAfee is all right.
yeah,
Listen, it's not like he can't go. He's maybe not the greatest superstar of all time, but to the point, this is pre Bad Bunny and all that stuff too. McAfee in those NXT matches, that was the best celebrity matchup of all time, whatever you want to call it. So I'm confident it will be a good enough match, and it doesn't even matter. Gunther's that guy. He could be facing a broomstick. He's putting on a classic.
I guess the bigger question or the bigger ask, it better be fucking Cole and Barrett just the entire night. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want Pat is on commentary the first two matches, then he has his match, and then he's not on commentary for the last match.
Yeah.
No. Just don't even have him on commentary. Give Wade the PLE. Low key, like I love Michael Cole. Obviously, I'm down with Michael Cole. Low key, I wouldn't hate if Joe Tess
Yeah,
did
did
the
it.
entire
Yeah.
show. Like mixed up a little bit. It's obviously, it's Backlash. It's not the fucking world's biggest PLE, but I don't need McAfee pulling double duty. Have
No.
him so focused on the match that he can't be on commentary.
Yeah.
He's warming up, whatever. I guess, obviously we're both going to pick Gunther here. How long do you think this match ends up being?
15 at most, probably. Maybe a little longer. It's only a 5 card match again, or 5 match card. So maybe it does hit 20,
I
but
don't know.
I think it's gonna be, if it goes that far, it's gonna be a lot of like, that's where we'll start to get the bullshit, like McAfee's boys and whatnot.
Yeah, and also what could kind of drag it is with Gunther's style and him just like he could slowly just be beating the shit out of McAfee. Like there could
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
2 to 3 minutes where Gunther is given like two chops,
Yeah.
and in between each chop, he's fucking yelling at the crowd. Pat's struggling to get up. Like
Mhm.
that's a genuine possibility.
See, I think it might get a little bit more time too, just for the fact that, I mean, we'll get into every match throughout the card, but like Penta versus Dom is probably the workhorse match of the card. That probably gets the most time. But then you look at Cena Orton. If you look at Cena Cody at Mania 41, that was 25 flat. I don't think Cena Orton is going to break 30 minutes. A typical title main event might. It could, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know if it's gonna. I feel like Cody Cena would have if
I
Cody or if
think
Cena Orton is going to.
I think the Fatal Four Way will have, a lot of times Fatal Four Ways they feel kind of short.
Quick. Yeah, I don't know why,
Yeah.
but they're usually quick. And I would love, this Fatal 4 Way has potential to be one of the better Fatal 4 Ways in a long time. And Mania 40's Fatal 4 Way, or 41, was a good Fatal 4 Way, but there's been some maybe better ones in the past. But I mean, these guys can go. It could be good.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a little bit lengthy. I do think, sorry to say this, I think Becky Lyra is going to be like a 25-minute match.
Yeah, I can see that going 20 plus for sure. I definitely see
Yeah.
that going 20 plus. Um, the only way that ends shorter, I mean, it's getting like 15 bare minimum, but with like maybe like a Bailey DQ, Bailey comes out, DQs him or something like that. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever. While we're at it, let's transition to that match. Becky Lyra Intercontinental Championship. It's tough because we've been on the same page that Lyra's been great lately. Lyra in NXT was always good, great worker. Dates back to NXT UK too. She's been around for a little while now. Always been a good worker. Was always on a little bit more of just like the bland side to me. Like good character, great in ring, but never just like wasn't oozing it to me. I don't know. They call her up. She wins the IC title, and even at that point in time, was good, but still wasn't like super drawing me in. But I don't know. Maybe they weren't giving her the time that she needed, or maybe they weren't allowing her, or she wasn't saying the right things on the mic. I don't know what it was. But it was a few weeks going into that Mania build where, okay, tide started to turn a little bit on Lyra. She's starting to get like a little bit more charisma to her, a little bit better attitude. The in-ring ability is always held up. Going into Mania, now that tag title build, all that was corny. I wish they did it 100 different ways than they did. But the shining star of all of it is Lyra. So it's a damn shame that she's about to lose this belt to Becky.
I think I can actually pinpoint where my genuine interest in Lyra started. And I think it's her taking the Annihilator.
Yeah, that's a good
Where I
where
was like, man, she's
yeah.
badass. She fucking took,
Yeah, she
she
took the
fucking
shit
took,
out of that.
yeah.
Yeah, because guess what move I ain't taking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I think that was like, and that was a good match too. Like
yeah,
that
it
was
was.
a
Yeah,
solid
I
match for
and
your Queen of the Ring
like
finals.
I gotta emphasize because women's wrestling is in a weird place right now. There's a lot of internet talk about women's wrestling right now, just how the women are treated and all that. I've
In
never
WWE.
in WWE. Yes, I have never disliked Lyra at all. Just wasn't oozing that like charisma to me. It's more than just the in ring ability. If we want to get technical, there's a million people that have the in ring ability. You know what I mean? There's so many great in ring wrestlers, but it's more than just being an in ring wrestler. And I'm glad whether it was them giving her the time or her finding herself a bit more, who knows where it really started clicking, but it's clicking a bit more for Lyra. And my worry when she won the Intercontinental Championship was that because she was a little bit more on the quiet side, it was a little bit bland back then. She was a fresh call up, not really maybe in that mainstream. No. Are we going to look back in 10, 20 years as like, oh man, the inaugural women's IC champion, how historic? I didn't think so at that point. I thought we would look back and it might be a little forgettable, especially compared to the Chelsea US title run being the first US title run. But Lyra is reeling it in a little bit. I think she's starting to add some credibility to that belt, which I kind of understand their idea of like put it on a Becky that adds credibility. It'd be the same as putting any other belt on a man of credibility, things like that. But I think you're losing it a little bit by taking it off Lyra so soon as she's gaining momentum.
I think if they take the title off of Lyra, it takes a massive hit on her. Like
Yeah,
I
it does.
don't
It does. Yeah.
like I don't think, and I mentioned this in the Raw post show, I don't think this is that given situation of, oh, you lose and the fans get even more behind her. Like, I think this is a case where if Becky wins, it kind of just deflates fans. And no disrespect to Becky, but she was even talking today about the Becky Hogan joke that's online, and like, it does suck because Hogan is a piece of shit, and Becky's obviously,
Yes.
from what we
But
see,
that's
like
not what we're
an
people are
incredible
not
human being.
comparing her to Hogan in that
Yeah,
realm. Yeah, like
I
that's
know.
and
She's also in
she
character.
knows that exactly. She's in
Yes.
character. She knows that. And credit to her for running with it because that's fine.
Of course, it's a great
100%.
avenue
Yeah,
to go.
it is.
That
Yes.
that being brought up though, that is like the fuel to the fire where if she does win, like that deflation where Lyra winning it back, I don't think is that like, oh my God, yes, she did it. She
No.
got it back. One of the good ones. Like I think it's like she wins it back and we just go, well, she should have never fucking lost it in the first place. Like I don't
Yeah.
think we get that satisfaction feeling of the overcoming the odds or whatever. And on top of it, I'm not sure if she would even be the one to beat Becky for the title because
No.
if Becky wins that title, I don't think she's I should say
Losing it for a bit.
I should say when she wins the title. I'm not going to officially pick her, but I think she's going
Yeah.
to win. Um she's not going to lose it for any time soon. By that
No.
point, there could be a new flavor of the month. There could be
Uh-huh.
fucking, you could have a draft, whatever. All these things could change. To me, you've got me with Lyra. Like
Yeah.
I mentioned that Annihilators when I first started to buy in on her because I was like, man, this chick's badass. Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew she could wrestle. Obviously, I watched her wrestle, watched her in NXT. That Annihilator, I was like, okay, Lyra kind of fucking rules. And then we see
Yeah.
more of her and whatever. And there was some times where we kind of worried where she wasn't on TV as the Intercontinental Champion. This is the moment though. They had her kind of upstage Becky these last 2 weeks. If she goes into Backlash up 2-0 right now in the segments and she just loses to Becky, whether Becky cheats or not, whether Bayley interferes or not, to me it's like, well, you may as well just send Lyra to SmackDown or something because you have just completely lost me with her. Like
Yeah.
I am at the fucking goal line of being like, I rock heavy with this chick.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fucking fumble the tush push.
I think where they're fumbling is Becky. I think this would maybe have been better if they just played out the Bayley heel turn. Let Bayley have the match at WrestleMania. Let Bayley turn on Lyra. She could have turned on Lyra during the WrestleMania match or something. And then there's your IC title match between Bayley and Lyra, which they've done. I get it. Don't get me wrong. But that has more credibility right now. Becky, as a heel, ain't it for me. It's really not. She is not convincing me as a heel. And her last heel run was not great. That was under the Vince regime, sure, but just being under this new regime with her as a heel, it's only been a few weeks, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not buying into it. Lyra did eat her up this last Monday, on the mic. And, I'm seeing all this discourse online. Oh, Becky's a great heel. She let Lyra go after her. I don't know if I'd call it that. I don't think it's Becky being a great heel. I think it's just Lyra really capitalizing on her moment. But I'm not as bought into it because Becky's not gaining my attention. I don't know. It really not buying into Becky being a heel, winning the tag titles, losing them the next day, turning on Lyra, attacked Bayley weeks ago, says it's because Bayley's garbage. Like there's just more history than that there. Like, I don't know. It's coming off lame to me. As you kind of said, Becky wins the belt. Lyra winning it back is not some wow. It's not Cody winning the belt back off of Cena. And realistically, nothing is going to amount to that. But if Bayley were to have turned heel and Bayley wins the belt and then Lyra wins the belt back from Bayley, that would have been a bit more powerful, I think. And I don't know. I just don't. I'm not buying into Becky right now. I really don't think it's working for me. Lyra is making it work, but I have zero interest in anything Becky.
You know, it kind of reminds me of, and this is not an apples to apples comparison, but it's just a comparison of someone dropping the title to later win it back and it's supposed to be bigger and get the fans in it. It eerily reminds me of WrestleMania 32.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, at the Rumble, Roman goes in as champion and Triple H wins the title. And we're obviously excited because at that time we did not want Roman as champion. But the whole story was for Roman to then go in as the challenger and win the title back from Triple H.
Yep.
And that like winning back didn't do it. I mean, it was one of like the more flat endings of a Mania that just the crowd wasn't in it. Where yes, you have hindsight of obviously they had him drop the title to set up him winning it back. Like that has been done a million times.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always latch with the fans. Like I think Cody doing it, I think it could, it depends how they do it. They could easily botch it. I mean, these not every time is it going to work or be
Mm-hmm.
like the worst shit ever. But this to me falls under the damn, this would really kind of ruin it. In a weird way, I would almost prefer, I maybe I'm in the minority on this. I would almost prefer Lyra beats her
Mm-hmm.
and Becky gets a rematch and then Becky takes the title off of her and then they do
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, whatever. Like just get Lyra that win, establish it a little bit more, and then if you want to have Becky take it and then Bayley returns, whatever, you can do all that after. It would be much better if Lyra gets that initial win and Becky now realizes she's got to stoop lower to beat someone like Lyra. She's got to
So
cheat next time, whatever. It could be 2 nights later on Raw. I don't care. Just have that initial win go to Lyra.
I think I have a way in my mind that I would book it. And it's really more just to kind of get Becky out of the title picture, in all honesty. Becky is reaching like Charlotte levels to me of like people really kind of, and there's always going to be more Becky fans than Charlotte fans out there, but based on the way Charlotte has been handled over the last few months, at least, Charlotte did not need that Mania win, and she didn't get it. Great, but Becky's reaching that level to me where like I don't think Becky holding this title does anything for anybody. Not now, maybe not ever. I don't know. Becky's, already far into her career. Like, I'd rather this belt float around to different names. Before we move on to the next match, that's just like the way I can picture it in my head, this is the way I would do it, is during the match, Bayley comes out. Bayley cost Becky the match by attacking Becky. Lyra, the babyface way of doing things, upset with Bayley. Like, I wanted my win. I wanted to establish that over a legend like Becky. And, maybe they're not beefing Lyra and Bayley, but it sets up a triple threat at Money in the Bank. Bayley, Lyra, Becky. And I want Lyra to win that triple threat. And then you can separate Bayley and Becky, and they have their own feud now because Becky attacked Bayley and cost her a potential tag team championship. And Lyra can move on to other things. Lyra can start getting a Roxanne match, a Julia match, a who knows match. Give Liv the IC title or something. Who knows? Hell, you can run Becky Bayley at SummerSlam for all I care, and that can be like their kind of moment, whatever. I think the IC title is better away from Becky. Maybe Bayley can be involved. I wouldn't mind a Bayley IC title run, but I don't know. I want Becky as far away as possible.
Yeah, I I'm going to officially pick Lyra just out of the like it's the same as when I picked
Yes.
Gunther. Like I just this is a heart pick. I think Becky's going to win. I'm
Yeah.
pretty
I'm gonna
confident so,
I'm
but
gonna
I'm
go
gonna pick Lyra.
to be different. I'll go Becky. I do have the same idea though. Like I'm pretty confident Becky wins, but I'm not ruling out what I just said, like Bailey coming out and there's some sort of cost, like somebody gets cost in the finish. I'm not 100% Lyra's losing. I can see them extending it, but she's gonna lose it in this feud. We'll put it that way. But I guess we'll keep it with the IC title. We already mentioned Dom is facing Dirty Dom facing Penta for the IC title. This is a rematch post Monday Night Raw. Gotta hit it to the camera to dap him up. Penta, man, I love it. I just love it. You
Yeah.
know me. I've been on this Penta wave. I've been on the Phoenix wave for a long time now. I'm so glad they're in WWE. I'm so glad they're putting on bangers. I'm so glad they're being handled the way they're being handled. These are stars. I'm not saying Penta's going to win this match. I think it's a little too soon for Dom to lose the IC title. And there's a lot of names involved in this IC title picture. But man, I kind of said it before Mania, before Dom even won. Dom winning the title at Mania and then Penta taking the title off Dom would be huge for Penta. That would be a great, memorable moment for Penta. I don't think it happens at Backlash necessarily. I don't know if Penta's going to get another match against Dom because they've been running with this for a while. You got guys like Styles in the picture and whatnot, but I'm not opposed to it. I would like to see Penta win it, kind of. I need to see Dom run with this belt, though, as well.
Yeah, I look, I don't think there's gonna be an interference in every match. I wouldn't be shocked if Gable got involved or even El Grande Americano
Yeah.
in some aspect. I don't think Dom drops the title. It
No.
wouldn't be stunning, but a piece of me would be like, on Monday, you have this segment of Styles hilariously saying he's going for the Intercontinental Championship, but you have the moment of Dom saying, like, man, I knew being a champion was going to be tough, but I didn't realize this many guys would be coming after me, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
To me, it's like if you have that segment and then he loses fucking 6 days or 5 days later, it's like, well, you just set up for all these opportunities and then you just had him lose it. Like, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can't imagine they do that segment and Dom just immediately drops the title. Like it feels like you have that moment. You even have Finn's quick knee-jerk reaction of kind of snapping at him. It feels like there's too much meat on the bone with Dom as champion for him to drop the title. And
Mhm.
look, if he did, I wouldn't cry about it. Penta's fucking awesome and they
Yeah.
great matchups.
Penta versus Styles. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Give me,
exactly.
take my money.
Exactly. But I've kind of held firm that I think, you know, I think whoever was walking out of Mania would eventually drop it to Sheamus. And I
Hmm.
think I'm gonna kind of keep rolling with that. That now that Sheamus is back, Dom probably faces Penta, then maybe Styles,
Hmm.
and maybe the Finn turn happens, something along those lines. But I think Sheamus is going to get the Intercontinental Championship this year. I don't know why, just my
Hmm.
gut tells me it happens this year. And I could really see it be against Dom and Finn kind of screws him. And that's
Yeah.
how Dom ends up turning face and Finn is, an even bigger heel from it all.
Yeah, I can see. So I do see Sheamus also winning the IC belt by latest Mania 42. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2025, but within like the wrestling fiscal year, I'll put it, Now, I do also agree. I think whenever Dom loses this belt, it's going to be at the cost of Finn Balor. Finn Balor is going to inadvertently cost Dom the championship. And I think, don't get me wrong, Finn deserves the belt almost too. But I don't think Finn versus Dom needs the championship, is also part of it. So you can put that belt on Penta, Styles, Sheamus, whoever, and Finn and Dom can still go at it, and the belt is doing other things. I still don't know where the face heel turn is going to go because the fans love Finn. The fans deep down love Dom. He's obviously heel and he's such a good heel that it makes me want them to keep him that way. But that natural face turn is going to happen eventually and he's going to get so over with the crowd. So I don't know if where or how that's going to happen. But to your Sheamus point, Sheamus is going to win the IC belt eventually. And that's a big moment for Sheamus. So, what's the biggest thing he can do? Beat the biggest heel holding the championship. And realistically, right now, and I can't predict them for a year kind of building up a bigger heel than Dom. Who else should Sheamus take the belt off of then to give Sheamus that moment? I mean, listen, I would never hate it if he had a great match with Penta or Styles and took the belt. Sure, that's all fine. But to make his moment bigger, it coming off Dom is probably the move.
Yeah, I don't want Dom to lose the title anytime soon because
Me
I
neither.
obviously I love Dom, and we
SummerSlam minimum, I'd
yeah.
say.
What's interesting though with it all, because I do agree, the Dom Finn story doesn't need the IC title, similar to how the Jacob Solo story, which we'll get into in a second, only needs the US title for so long and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
On the Raw side of things, again mentioned in our Raw recap, there's so many names that are so intertwined. I mean, Dom and Finn are obviously a thing, and Dom and Penta right now. Styles is now into the mix. Cross is still in the mix with Styles. Who knows if Waller and Theory kind of get into the mix after this Sheamus thing,
Uh,
but Sheamus will eventually be into the mix as well.
I hope to see Ludwig Kaiser fall into the
Is
mix.
just about to say a name who hasn't been
Fucking
around in a
better
bit.
fall into the mix. All right, I'm gonna be
Ludwig
serious. I was trying
Kaiser.
to hold back there. He fucking better fall into the mix.
I think Ludwig might fall more into when they do a shakeup. He goes to SmackDown, which
Agreed.
bit of a shame, but what we've
Sheamus.
mentioned what we've mentioned with the US title, same with the Intercontinental title. Like there's a lot of names and a lot of them are intertwined. So when you start going through it, you can make an argument that Dom Finn is the best story, but the least logical to have the title still involved with it. All these other names are still so intertwined. I forgot to mention Gable slash El Grande Americano as well.
Yep.
All of these names are so intertwined and so in the mix that I don't want the title changes to happen right now, but
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of set up to where it could happen really whenever.
Yeah, I mean, another name that just pops into my head. I mean, I don't think he'll find his way into there for maybe a month or two, but I don't think they're going to be holding Rusev back. That's another great name that might find himself into that mix. It's going to be a great match, Penta and Dom. I am a little curious as to how it ends because I almost have to imagine Gable or Grande Americano and then all the Judgment Day. I do think I agree. Not every match is going to have an interference, but this match is probably the most likely to have interferences. The Fatal Four Way as well, Solo's involvement, the woman we just talked about with Bailey. Like, there's all possibility there, but there's too many factors with Judgment Day and Styles being in the mix but not on the card, and Shorty G. I almost just said actually, I can't believe that was why. I don't know why I thought of Shorty G, but I can see a world where Gable comes out and then Styles comes out, and then after that, here comes Finn and Carlito or whatever goes down. I don't want Dom to lose the belt yet, but I don't want Penta to totally fall out of the contention for it as well. Styles is incredible. I love what they're doing with Karrion Cross, but if I had to pick 1 to 2 names to be the next IC champion, it would be Penta or Sheamus. So I want to see one of them kind of fall into that mix down the line and actually win the belt.
Not say they're going to shoehorn this, but I could see at Worlds Collide Penta being the one that unmasks El Grande Americano.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like there's so much meat on the bone. I mentioned to you, I'm like, they got to have El Grande Americano win the
Well,
AAA
now
title, right? Like,
you
so maybe
would
it's a little farther
imagine,
down the line.
but I don't even know how much main roster involvement there's going to be. They're
I
kind
don't think
of
there's gonna be
yeah.
much,
I
but
don't. They're
Penta
kind of
is
running
one
it like
that,
it's NXT.
but he's one that you can easily
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, yeah. That at the minimum, he's showing face. Like he'll
Yeah,
be there.
showing mask.
Showing mask. Yeah, good point. But at a point, he'll be there. Phoenix probably too. We might even get the Rey Mysterio pop up and all those names, whatever. Of course. How do you not have a Grande Americano match though? How do you
Yeah.
not? You literally have to. It's so easy to book. It's funny to me because I still see discourse. I saw some this morning before we even got into this. People still calling the gimmick racist and all this crazy stuff. Like, stop watching them. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. It's crazy. It is such a
There's been some bad fucking gimmicks in wrestling in the
yes,
past.
yes, and
This
yeah.
may not crack the top 100.
No,
There's
it
been
does
some
not. No,
bad shit.
this is a great gimmick. There's not a bad thing about it. It's not bad towards any culture, any type of person, anything. It's incredible stuff. I don't think it lasts forever, though. Of course, so it's got to end at some point. And June, July, August. I don't think Grande Americano is going to be around for Mania 42. So Worlds Collide kind of fits the bill. Even if it isn't at Worlds Collide, Penta's got to be the one to unmask him. I mean, he has to be.
Yeah, for sure. And like it, I love this person that I'm about to say. Like this is not me saying, "Oh, you slander this guy. Why don't you slander this guy?" Not saying that at all.
Agreed.
People who slander that, but then will be like, "Damn, when El Generico was a wrestler, he was so great." Like, come on, like fucking chill. There's really very
Yeah.
little difference between the two.
Yeah.
Neither of them are like flat out racist. Like,
Yeah.
no, it is a
I'm not even
fucking
like,
gimmick. It is, and they're not even like, it's not even worth getting into.
it's not even worth going too deep into. It's just funny to me because it's also like, there's so many people that work for this company and stuff. It wouldn't fly if there was an overtly racist gimmick pitched or something, like it would never actually
He's
happen.
also working with an insane
Insane
amount of
amount of
Spanish
Mexican.
people
Yeah,
right
yeah, yeah,
now
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
like you're
Mhm.
telling me all of them are like
Yeah.
not a single one of them.
Was going, no, we can't do this. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like,
like
listen, 2000, what, six? Not that long ago. 20 years, almost. Long time ago. It just doesn't feel like it. I don't think we're ever getting a crime time gimmick again. Like
or
there's,
even better for this situation.
yeah,
The Mexicools aren't coming out like
he's
that's
super.
racist.
He's crazy.
That's racist. That's a
Yeah,
fucking
there's
racist shit that they did.
the days of Muhammad Hassan, like those days are gone, They're not going that route. There's nothing wrong with this gimmick. It's incredible stuff. I don't want to touch too more on it, except that in the long run, Gable's got to win the IC title too. Penta winning it off of Dom, Penta unmasking Grande Americano, but then Gable winning it off of Penta. Bookmark this because I've been running strong with this IC title for a year. So I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
Well, let me ask you now that we have to kind of. I assume you're going Dom.
Yes, I'm going Dom. Yep.
Uh, If if there were involvement in this match, who is more likely to cost Penta, Chad Gable or El Grande Americano?
Probably Grande Americano, just for the fact that Grande wasn't on Raw, Gable was. I feel like they'll flip it back to Grande Americano at Backlash for some reason.
I could see it. I mean, they haven't really set up
Or
the.
or both of them. Like Gable comes out and
Yeah,
tries, but Penta stops it, recovers, and then Grande. He gets thrown out by the ref, but then out comes Grande Americano.
yeah. I mean, it's not far fetched, and it makes sense for Grande Americano to go after Penta, considering he beat Penta's brother at
But
WrestleMania.
when you really think about it, like we don't speak Spanish, so like you say the name Grande Americano, but it doesn't really like you don't think about it like that. But his name's just Big American, like
Yeah.
like,
Honestly, I just think of it as a coffee. Like that's the first
yeah,
thing that
yeah,
comes to my
yeah,
mind.
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, from Starbucks.
Grande iced Americano.
Let me get a grande Americano. Hold the American made.
That's funny.
Yes, we're both going Dom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say I'd be stunned if Dom lost, but I'd be fairly surprised
Shocked. Yeah.
if he won. I'd have a little bit of, oh shit,
No way.
damn,
Yeah, yeah.
damn. Kind of, like when fucking Rollins kicked out at 2
Yeah,
after
yeah.
Jay hit the spear
After
and
Jay and
splash.
that
I was like,
splash, yeah.
oh
That's
shit.
the benefits of Raw not having a set end time right there. Because if I see that clock and it was 10:59 or 10:55, you know what's going to happen there. But that was great stuff.
So, two more matches.
Yep.
The United States Championship, Fatal 4-Way. One of the beautiful, beautiful matchups where no disrespect to Nakamura, love Nakamura.
Mm-hmm.
But man, if we time traveled to during Nakamura's reign and you were like, hey, soon. Just be patient. This is the fatal four-way you're gonna get for the U.S. title. I'd be like, oh, thank God. Fucking fast forward me to that because
Yeah.
they threw that title on Nakamura strictly for him to bring it to Japan. Great, he did it. It was a cool moment. Props to Nak, absolute legend. They did nothing with him with that U.S. title, and that was a waste of 100 something days, however long it was. Now it is back. It is in the mix. It is very interesting because the same things we were saying about Dom and Finn can kind of be brought in about Jacob and Solo. I don't think Jacob's gonna lose the title, but it's not far-fetched.
I think he retains. I'm going to pick Jacob here up front. I feel like I can kind of envision a world where Jacob wins, but is almost costed by Solo, and it just adds a little bit more friction to it. I think they're setting up for Solo Fatu at SummerSlam. I think that's going to be a big SummerSlam match, maybe even for the championship. I agree. We kind of said it earlier. They also don't maybe need the U.S. title like Balor and Dom don't need the IC title. But I think the Fatu solo match could use the US title more. I don't think it needs it, but it would be okay in that sense. But I can see a world where Fatu pins Priest at Backlash on Saturday. Drew already beat Priest, doesn't need that, can continue in this fatal four way, but Drew doesn't need to like win against Priest again. It already is kind of done. Fatu has already beat LA. Him beating LA again, I can see him pinning LA, but I don't know. I think they want to keep LA a little bit strong because I'm pretty positive LA is going to win Money in the Bank. So you can look at it from both ways, where he takes 100 pins before that because he's going to get his big moment, or they want to keep him a little bit on the higher level because he's about to get a big moment. I think Priest is the one in the spot that can like take the loss and still just be fine. You know, he doesn't have maybe a clear direction after this feud, but you want to keep Drew strong. Drew might get written off. I really don't know. I don't know what Drew's direction is after this. There's rumors of him having a movie. That could be in 2 years from now. I have no idea. But I don't know his direction. I can see Solo actually costing Fatu inadvertently, advertently. Who knows? I'm not ruling out him losing, but I don't think they're going to have Fatu be a transitional champion. I think he holds this till SummerSlam.
I think Fatu does win. Um, I'm gonna say he maybe pins Drew. Maybe Priest is about, Priest gets it up on Drew
Mm-hmm.
and Fatu gets involved and gets that pin on Drew. I don't know. I mean, Drew kind of falls into like if he gets pinned, like it's not like it hurts him in any way.
Yeah.
What's interesting, you bringing up Money in the Bank, what's kind of nice about the Triple H era, under Vince, when it came to Money in the Bank, the person who ended up winning a lot of times like lost a bunch before, then would win the Money in the Bank, and then would lose even more. Like they just
Yeah.
were losing all the fucking time.
That's the
Under Triple
Ziggler
H,
storyline. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like they did it all the fucking time. Under Triple H, it really, I mean, he's had what, Priest and he's had McIntyre, really? Like for, because
Yeah,
39, he really
39.
didn't,
Yeah, it didn't really,
it
Priest
wasn't
and
really
McIntyre. And
fully him.
we predicted the McIntyre one. I know we weren't a channel prior to that, but we were saying it for months prior to Money in the Bank that year that whoever had won it needs to lose it quickly because
We literally, I mean, Chris Van Vliet, if you're watching this, I literally told you in the streets of Toronto, you asked me what I think's happening tonight. I said Drew's going to win, he's going to cash in, and Punk is going to cost him.
yeah,
And it was quite clear we had been saying that for the longest time. But on the topic of
C3
Priest,
Wrestling.
yeah, at some point it'll be. On the topic of Priest, like Priest was still winning. Priest was
Yeah,
good before Money in the Bank. He won Money in the Bank. He had tag title reign. He was always
running the Judgment Day, really.
yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't like a situation. So you're mentioning of LA Knight, if this were the old times, I'd be like, all right, whoever gets pinned here and then somehow finds their way into Money in the Bank is probably going to end up winning because they want this
Mm-hmm.
person to, look as weak as possible to get the big moment. I think it's a little bit of the opposite where you have a guy like LA Knight where he ends up having a great showing and doesn't factor into the finish. And gets that win of the Money in the Bank qualification match, maybe against Solo. Maybe his qualification match is against Solo.
Mhm.
And he kind of builds up and then he gets the win and he's strong and goes into his cash in, whatever. On this match specifically, I'd probably be a little bit more surprised if Knight took another pin from Jacob. Not that it's a bad
Yeah,
thing. Jacob's obviously a beast and it's a fatal four way. So it's so easy to make the person who gets pinned look completely fine or take a bunch
yeah.
of offense. I think that's kind of where McIntyre slots in. I could see, maybe LA Knight gets a BFT or two on him.
Mhm.
Priest gets a big South of Heaven. Jacob kind of clears house and then ends up hitting a moonsault on McIntyre and gets the final pin.
I could see it. I just feel like Drew needed the Mania 41 win, which he got against Priest. If Drew just takes a pin in that type of match a month later, does it kind of negates the Drew Mania 41 win to
I
me?
don't
Like,
think so though, because he's facing, I mean, the guys he's facing.
yeah, man, like Fatu's champion, don't get me wrong. Fatu's an absolute beast. We all know that. But name value, who's in this match? Like, Priest is a former world champion too, don't get me wrong. But Drew on paper should be walking out US champion, you know? So I can see it happening, but I don't think he should be the one to take the pin, to be honest. I think they want to keep him a little strong too. He can go film a movie for 6 months. He can still be around, whatever. He still is like in that contender picture. Like he's eventually going to win another championship. He's not going to win Money in the Bank again, but I still think they want to keep him kind of just as strong. Where Priest is the most flexible right now to honestly take a bunch of losses. Really, Priest was having a strong run for a minute and can kind of take a few losses here and not really take a hit. It can also help develop Priest a little bit more if he takes a couple big losses at Mania, Backlash, and so on. Anything can happen. Knight can get another pinfall. It can happen. I think they want to keep Knight strong as well. But I think it does end Fatu raising that championship. Maybe a little bit of side eye to Solo. Knight goes on, probably wins Money in the Bank. My biggest fear. I don't need a long Money in the Bank again. I don't want him to hold that briefcase for a while. And Knight is the perfect person to cash it in on the quicker side. But I predict Knight losing that cash in. I can see Knight cashing in against John Cena and losing to John Cena.
Honestly, I'm laughing thinking about it at how fucking mad people will be.
Oh, dude,
Which like
irate.
I would that sounds fine by me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm
On
not I'm not
paper,
hating it in that
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
on paper it feels a little more like odds are Braun helps Rollins win the Money in the Bank and Rollins uses it on the world title because it seems Rollins is going to get that world title sooner rather than
Yeah,
later.
that's actually I don't hate that either. Rollins getting a second Money in the Bank, and there's going to be people that hate that because it's not LA Knight winning it or the fan favorite right
Yeah.
now. But again, the Money in the Bank, like
I don't
when
know if
you're
it'll get that much hatred because people are getting
loving Braun
behind
Rollins, yeah,
and
I just think
and
Rollins has already won it, so people want to see fresh things. But that is fresh. Like that's a fresh idea, fresh way to go about it. They backed themselves into a corner with this Money in the Bank a lot. I mean, they kind of did it to Tiffany. Even it's a great moment for Tiffany, but it backed her into a corner as well. When you're doing this gimmick match every year, it's hard to keep booking.
it's funny because people obviously like to pretend that things didn't happen. There was a time where Rollins wasn't the most loved. Like Rollins,
Yeah, yeah,
Rollins
yeah.
got a lot of shit for a while, and people,
Rollins was like the third man in the Shield, if we're being honest. Roman wasn't even number one. There was a lot of like Ambrose love at
yeah,
first.
people loved
Loved
Ambrose.
Ambrose, yeah.
Now there's a strong push again, and look, there is a piece of it that people, for some reason, are shitting all over Jay right now. But Rollins was getting unreal amount of praise last night. Like people
Yeah,
wanted Rollins to win the world title last night. And I
yeah,
think a big chunk of it is people are hating on Jay, which is asinine in my opinion.
yeah, asinine, yeah.
But with it and like people getting behind this and this story, I'm like, I don't think Rollins is going to win Money in the Bank because he's obviously has so many stories to go through right now with Punk,
Mhm.
with Sammy, with Roman when he comes back. But I think fans would get behind it. Like, I don't think they would shit
Yeah,
on it as bad. I think they would only shit on it if it was like, say, an LA Knight or whoever, and Braun stopped that person and Rollins went up and
Yeah,
in.
I mean, I can definitely see it. I think LA Knight and Rollins are probably my top two candidates to win it, just off this conversation, even. LA, I think, wins it and potentially loses the cash in. I think Rollins is their choice this year to have somebody win it and win the cash in. If Rollins were to win it, not that we're here predicting money in the bank now, but if Rollins were to win it, I kind of want him to cash it in ASAP too. He should win it, and on the next Monday, he should have Braun go destroy whoever's champion, Jay in the ring, and Rollins should almost cash it in then and there or something. I don't think Rollins should be holding on to it for forever. If LA were to win, he's not going to cash in on Jay, babyface first babyface. He could cash it in on Rollins if they float that belt to Rollins, but I don't think Rollins is going to just flip the belt to LA that quick as well. And I don't think LA is going to be the guy to beat Cena. He has the momentum, but I don't think they're going to give that beating Cena moment to a guy in the level of LA's career, where, don't get me wrong, Cody's what, 3 years younger than LA? But Cody is built up a lot more. I see them building that title towards Cody again. LA aging a little bit. I think they'd rather give that moment to somebody else. I fear that LA might lose it, but put it on Rollins then maybe.
What
Maybe
he
that's the
can
answer.
do is LA will lose the U.S. title match at Backlash,
And then
win
cash
the
it in
Money in the
on
Bank,
the
and then
US
cash it
title.
in on the U.S. title.
I like it. I like it. It's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Smart thinking.
So we're both on Jacob. Then the main event, which I didn't plan spending too much time on because I'm pretty sure we're both going to be on the same page. I think the bigger question is what type of match this is going to be because I know Cena being heel is so foreign, but a babyface John Cena versus, or sorry, a babyface Randy Orton versus a heel John Cena. I don't know what that match looks like. And look, I love these guys. These guys are legends. I'm sure that match will be fine. No stipulation. Are we just gearing up for another Travis Scott
So
interference?
I'm not ruling out the Travis Scott interference, but I actually think this match has potential to be the best match of this John Cena retirement tour. And maybe it's very nostalgic heavy in that sense, but I don't really predict Cena putting on any 5-star classics with anybody in this retirement tour. So maybe the nostalgia is all it takes to be that best match in his final run, where we've had heel Orton, we've had '09 skinhead Orton,
Yeah.
the heel of all heels against the babyface of all babyfaces, John Cena, many times in the past. I think we're going to get a very gimmicky babyface Orton heel John Cena match where I think we're going to get all the heel stops from Cena here. It's going to be very cut and dry, slow pace from Cena, digging in, punches to the head. I think Cena might even do like the take the turnbuckle cover off, heel stuff. Orton is going to pull out all the babyface stops. He's going to hit the Orton comeback power slam. He's going to hit the back body drop or the back break or whatever it is. Orton's going to pull out all the babyface stops. I think we see a 5-knuckle shuffle from Orton to John Cena. Like I think we're going to get all that kind of nostalgic pop in the opposite sense that we've had it over their 20 match history, whatever it is. Does it end with a Travis Scott interference? God, I fucking hope not, dude. I hope not. That would be bad. It would be pretty bad. I don't think Cena needs help to beat Orton, but I think they're going to go that route. I think that's going to be a lot of this Cena run is things happening to help him win. I'm not saying
Now,
Travis Scott's going to get in every match, but I hate
here's a
that it's a
question.
possibility.
Yeah, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
So Cena Orton obviously have a long history. We expect Cena to win in some non-clean fashion, given that he is a heel. Do you think they end up either having him do the low blow, maybe a Travis Scott interference, or do we get that callback to when it was Cena Orton and it seemed like Cena was about to beat Orton and Orton slaps the
Low blow
ref
the ref.
and he gets, I think it was a slap to the face
Something
and
like that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
gets disqualified and like
So
I'm
what
saying
I
I
see,
don't want it, but it wouldn't shock me, man. They love like Triple H and Shawn Michaels like to kind of rehash things and make history repeat itself. I wouldn't be shocked if they went that way and to really just digging deeper on John Cena's ruining wrestling, and he's here to ruin it for everyone.
So I can envision a world where Cena's down and out, and Orton's about to hit he's on the ground, about to hit the RKO. Hell, about to even punt Cena. Who knows? And Cena does grab the ref, and Cena does slap the ref. Throw back to that moment, but the ref, stunned, looks around, goes to call it, and goes, "You know what? No way. This match is continuing," and lets the match roll on. And Cena goes crazy. And then maybe in that moment, the ref bends over to get looked at by a doctor, and then Cena hits the low blow. AA gets the win. I don't need the match to end screwy finish, but I see it ending screwy finish because I don't know. It's kind of counteracting their marketing, but it's wrestling. Who cares? They're calling it like last time ever, or whatever the marketing is. I think they rehash it at Backlash though, which makes me
This
think,
this is Backlash.
or Saturday Night's Main Event rather. I think they rehash it there. Why not? I guess too, but it has to end screwy finish if that's the case. If Cena just beats Orton straight up, why would Orton get another match at Saturday Night's Main Event? So maybe it does happen that way, and there is no rematch. What do you do with Orton next though? If that's the case, I don't know.
Yeah, and it also falls under. It's not like Cena has to cheat to win because you have to make sure Orton doesn't look weak or anything like that. Like this is all really falling under John Cena can't beat Orton clean because John Cena is a heel and we need to further establish him as a heel. Him beating Orton one on one is like ultra babyface John Cena wins again. Like that to
Yeah,
me, that doesn't get me like him, Orton seeming like he's got him and Cena finds a way to take the cheap way out that he would have never taken before. And now it's completely roles reversed where Orton doesn't do that. Orton doesn't cheat to beat Cena. He doesn't poke him in the eye or whatever, but Cena does. Like to me, that's how it has to go for the
yeah.
story sense.
I mean, it's only happened twice. Don't get me wrong, but Elimination Chamber, whacked Cody with that belt. WrestleMania 41, whacked Cody with that belt. Is that becoming kind of like the heel move of John Cena? Use the belt. Maybe that's how he takes Orton out. I very much see a screwy finish happening. I'm okay with it. God, Travis Scott, stay at home. Oh my God, I do not need it in the slightest. This might be a bold take because WrestleMania is obviously so big, but I think him being involved here at Backlash would be worse for me than him being involved even at WrestleMania.
If they're in a point where they're both down or whatever, and we hear fiend, 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 fiend. Honestly, I may have to just shut it off and you'll have to tell me what happens.
Yeah, no, literally, honestly, live stream's over. It's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like I get the whole we want to ruin wrestling, but to me it's like yeah, we're gonna go back to 2010 when no one fucking
Well,
watched. I'm just gonna
here's the
stop
thing.
watching.
I understand the whole we want to ruin wrestling thing. Let's not really ruin wrestling.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, yeah,
gimmick,
yeah.
like let's not really ruin it here. Okay. Come on. Like it's
Yeah,
supposed to be a storyline, right? Let's
yeah.
not, let's not break kayfabe here. Let's fucking,
Yeah, yeah,
not really ruin
let's
it.
ruin wrestling in
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the most entertaining way possible. Not the holy shit, I never want to watch this again. This is dog shit. I'm not
Yeah.
watching next week.
Yeah. Who knows, man? I mean, I'm going to go. I don't know if we even said it, but I'm obviously picking John Cena here.
Yeah.
He's walking out champion. Honestly, you can mark him down for the next like 5 or 6 John Cena matches. I'm picking John Cena. I don't think he's losing that belt for a bit. I think it'll be a good match, though. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be bad. I don't think it'll be the best John Cena Randy Orton match ever, but also like you
Which
can't
one of
go
them
in with
were?
you can't go in with that expectation. Like
No,
you
you can't.
can't.
You can't. And Orton is still incredible. Orton could
Yeah.
still be putting on 5-star matches for sure. But I don't think, and I don't, deep down, I don't think anybody has that expectation out of John Cena right now.
Yeah, no knock on Cena. Cena is
Yeah.
obviously the GOAT,
Yeah.
but chill. I know there's gonna be people that when the match is in this out of this world insane greatness, it's just it's like, well, this isn't fucking Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. You're not gonna
Yeah.
get the fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
flips. Like, come on. You have to
Yeah.
know what you're
Yeah.
signing up for and understand what you're doing. You can't order the meatball sub and be pissed that you didn't get a chicken parm when it got brought to your table. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how it goes.
It is exactly how it goes. I mean, Backlash, it's shaping up to be all right. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. I don't think this is going to be the greatest PLE of all time, but we got some good matches. There's going to be a couple bangers, some good moments for sure. And it's setting up for what could be a killer Money in the Bank. So I'm here for it. I know you're here for it. I hope the rest of the C2 fans are here for it. This Saturday, I'm going to say it again, we'll be live. So you got to come hang out with the boys. It's an absolute blast. Again, if you were at WrestleMania 41 with us, you already know it's a great time. Come hang out again. Bring your friends over. We want to grow. We want to grow those live streams. So I'm looking forward to it.
Get ready to have your name roasted and used
Roasted.
in a
That,
very shitty pun.
yeah, terrible, terrible, embarrassing. A pun bad enough that you might leave the live stream.
Yeah, exactly. So do that. It's a great time. We chat wrestling the entire time, obviously. Very interactive. So hope to see you and hear from you guys. Oh, man, I just love wrestling.
I love wrestling.